Hello, beautiful humans. In today's episode, we are talking about why anxiously attached women in particular struggle to ask for help and why they eventually give up and just stop asking for help overall. I did the most amazing breath work this morning. Oh my gosh. I feel so regulated today. And I want to take you through 60 seconds of breath work before we get into this, because I know you're anxious. I know you live out of survival mode. I know your nervous system is in a dysregulated state. And whilst this podcast is not mentorship, whether you're driving, whether you're cleaning the kitchen bench right now, I want you to just breathe with me. Close your eyes. I want you to inhale. Hold it at the top of your head. Hold it more. Hold it more. Hold it more. And exhale with a sigh. Inhale again. Big inhale. Hold it at the top of your head, crown of your head. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And exhale with a sigh, let it all out. One more. Last one. Deep inhale. Activate your pelvic floor. Bring it up to the top of your head. And hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And exhale with a really loud sigh. Just let it out. You're welcome. Now let's get into the episode. I've never started an episode in my life like that. Now you might think I'm cuckoo, or now you might like me even more. We will see. Today we're talking about something that a lot of anxiously attached women experience and why asking for help just feels so hard. Why after trying for so long, you just stop asking for help overall. So if you're someone who does everything yourself, struggles to ask for support, feels like no one shows up for you in the way that you show up for them, and eventually just shut down and give up, this episode is particularly for you. And today we're not just talking about this emotionally, we're going to talk about the psychology behind it, how it develops, and most importantly, how to move from anxious attachment to security. Because part of being secure, which I know is your goal, is actually being able to ask for help and not feel guilty or shameful or anxious about that. So this episode will actually be a stepping stone for you towards becoming securely attached. Now, let's talk about the anxious attachment paradox. Women with anxious attachment deeply crave support, reassurance, and emotional closeness. But at the same time, asking for help feels really terrifying. Hence why it's kind of self-sabotage in terms of keeping yourself in your anxious attachment. So psychologically, this happens because anxious attachment is rooted in inconsistent caregiving. Inconsistent caregiving during your early developmental years. Anxious attachment is also rooted potentially in your genes. So there is a genetic side to it, and also your adult experiences. So potentially you were in a relationship with an avoidant and that made you more anxiously attached, etc. However, primarily today we're talking about the circumstance where you grew up with inconsistent caregivers, inconsistent parents. Attachment theory, which was originally developed and discovered by John Bowlby, and it was expanded by Mary Ainsworth. It shows that when a child's caregiver is sometimes responsive and then sometimes not available and not responsive, the child learns a very powerful lesson. Love is unpredictable, therefore I have to work for it, which was my story as well. So what happens is, instead of learning I can ask and someone will help me, that's what a secure person would think. I can ask and someone will help me. The anxious attachment nervous system, it learns I have to prove my worth. If I need people too much, people will leave, and I should just handle it myself. So you become the strong one. The one who handles everything, the one who never asks. I remember when I was a young adult, around like 18, 19, 20, I felt like I was a soldier battling every day through life. I had so much protective armor on myself. And people think hyper-independence means, oh, you must have been avoidant. Not necessarily. That's a quality of being avoidant, but anxiously attached people can also have this very strong armor of being the strong one, because they still are very scared to ask for help, which was my story. And it is absolutely exhausting, especially if you're a woman. That's causing you to live in your masculine energy. And women operate best when they're in their feminine energy, majority of the time, in receiving mode, which means receiving help. And you're stopping that cycle. So I grew up really developing a lot of masculine energy and definitely not in my feminine energy enough. And so I developed more and more and more armor, which made asking for help harder and harder and harder. And it created a lot of conflict in my life and a lot of friction in terms of being able to attract my desires, attract the love I deserved, the job, everything, because I was in my masculine energy and I had so many wounds as well. Just because I was in my masculine energy, it didn't mean it was healthy. My masculine energy was still wounded. So, before we get off track, let's talk about the overfunctioning pattern. Now, many anxiously attached women, they develop something psychologists call overfunctioning. Yes, I know you overfunction because I used to too. And it comes to a point where you will just burn yourself to the ground in terms of burnout. But overfunctioning means you take on way too much responsibility, you solve problems for everyone else, you anticipate other people's needs, you work harder than everyone else, and you rarely ask for support. Type A personality, right? And if you are a woman and you're the oldest child, I get you. Because same. Now, why? Because somewhere deep in your nervous system is the belief, if I'm useful enough, people will stay. If I can fix things, then I'm worthy. If I can fix something for someone else, people will stay. If I'm useful enough, people will stay. You become the person who fixes everything, carries all of the emotional labor, and keeps relationships afloat, even if they're hurting you and harming you. I did this. I remember in my personal life, which I won't go into too much depth with, because I don't want to create any drama or conflict for myself or other people. But that was a huge, very difficult scenario. And none of it was my fault, but it did affect me and other people I really cared about. And I tried to fix it. And it was a very extreme scenario, okay? And I tried to fix it. And I thought, if I just fixed this thing, then the people I really love and care for will stay in my life. I did things to fix that I shouldn't have to do. I was still just a child. I was like 20. I was doing something people who are decades and decades and decades older than me have the ability to do. And I carried all of the emotional labor for that. I was trying to keep relationships afloat, and I was just trying to fix everything. But the painful part of that is that the more I overfunctioned because of that scenario, the less people realized I needed help. The more you overfunction, the less people actually realize you need help too. That maybe you're not okay. A lot of my life, people thought, oh, she's fine. She's always doing stuff. She's successful, blah, blah, blah. Deep down, I was exhausted. I didn't want to carry everything on my own anymore. People thought I was okay, when I really wasn't in a good mental state at all. You see, you look capable, you look independent, and you look resilient. Meanwhile, inside, you're absolutely exhausted. Asking for help makes you feel unsafe. I know. Asking for help used to make me feel unsafe as well. And I'm going to explain why. And then we will get into how to become secure and how to actually ask for help without it making you feel really anxious and overwhelmed. For anxiously attached women, asking for help, it doesn't feel natural, first of all. It doesn't just come to you. It feels like a high-risk behavior. I remember my car, like, the battery ran out. And this was a milestone along my healing journey. And still, like, I had no clue what to do. I don't know anything about cars. So I had to ask this man, like, hey, like, what do I do? Like, I don't even know where I buy a car battery. Like, I don't know how to take it out and put it in. Like, what do I do? I couldn't just drive it to a mechanic because it wouldn't, drive. Anyway. And I was so scared to ask for help. I felt so uncomfortable, And then they actually paid for the battery themselves. And I felt so uncomfortable with that. I was like, no, let me pay. Please let me pay. So when you ask for help, your brain is subconsciously thinking, will they reject me? Will they say no? Sorry, I can't help you. Will they think that you're too much? And will you be disappointed again because they won't show up for you? It's the fear of disappointment a lot of the time, the fear of rejection a lot of the time, and the fear that you're too much and you're too needy because you were told that or shown that as a child. So if you grew up experiencing emotional neglect, inconsistent support, or unconditional love, asking for help can activate something called rejection sensitivity. So you're very sensitive to rejection, which is a kind of symptom and something that just comes along with being anxiously attached. So instead of simply asking, hey, could you please help me with this? Your nervous system experiences it as, what if they don't care about me? What if I push them away because they think I'm too much or I'm too needy? And it feels like this huge emotional risk, even if it's just asking for help with a car battery. And you're just a dumb blonde when it comes to cars. So many anxious women avoid the risk altogether, so they just push through it alone. I learned the hard way. It just leads to a terrible quality of life, burnout, hormonal issues, survival mode, which you're not meant to live in every day for years and decades on end. And that's why attracting your desires and everything you deserve is so hard as well. People don't realize this. Side note, anxious attachment doesn't just make you naturally attract avoidance or make your relationships hard or your dating experiences hard. It impacts everything. Do you realize the fact that you were born makes you worthy? Therefore, every single second you spend on this planet, you are self-sabotaging if you continue to live out of anxious attachment and survival mode. This is a survival mechanism that you have built, and it's not your fault, but you are deserving and worthy of changing that. Otherwise, what are the next 10 years going to look like? I'm sure the past 10 years just looked like shit, you know? Life doesn't have to be that hard and like a battle every day. This is why you eventually give up. The part that most people don't talk about is why you eventually give up. And I gave up, I remember. Anxiously attached women go through 2 phases, okay? So phase 1 is they try extremely hard to be seen, valued, and supported. Really hard, okay? I tried very hard to be seen as an athlete and to be valued as an athlete. I tried very hard to be seen and valued when I did year 11 and 12 in 7 months. I tried really hard to be seen and valued when I got into university and was studying, and tried really hard to get good grades and seem successful and like valuable, right? And I tried really hard to be supported by particular people in my life. I worked so hard. So hard. Like, as an athlete, so hard. Like, I'll have to make a podcast episode about that. I might need someone to interview me though, because my story is like quite a story. My auntie always tells me, oh, you need to write a book. Your life is like a novel. But I now realize that the reason it's so intriguing and so crazy is because I was anxiously attached, and that was 100% my fault. Because if you don't take accountability for your anxious attachment and you just blame it on your parental figures, or you blame it on other people or other things, then you're never going to heal it. So take accountability. But anyway, phase 1. You work really, really hard as well, okay? You give more and more and more to other people. You do more and more and more for other people. But then, when their needs still aren't met, as in the anxiously attached person's needs aren't met, so your needs. When your needs still aren't met, because you worked so hard, because you gave so much, and because you did so much, and despite all of that, your needs still weren't met, which was my story as well. This is when you go into phase 2, which is burnout and emotional shutdown. So psychologically, this is sometimes referred to as protest behavior fatigue. So if you've been in a relationship with an avoidant, or interacting with an avoidant, or dating an avoidant, and you've gone through all of like trying so hard and blah, 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 and now you just kind of feel like you're at your breaking point and you just need to give up. Like you don't have it in you to message them or call them or talk about attachment styles anymore because they won't even accept theirs. Psychologically, protest behavior fatigue, that is what it is. Your nervous system eventually decides if asking, trying, and proving doesn't work, I'm done. Because you don't have anything left in the tank. This has happened to me in multiple different scenarios. Okay, in my personal life, exclusive of, men and dating, and then in relationships, not that there were many, but in a relationship, in many, 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 many ways, okay, with trying to heal my foot, and it has had 11 surgeries over 5 years. I've tried, and then eventually gave up. Like, I want you to stop and reflect on your own life. Stop thinking about the one man, because for some reason, my TikTok is full of followers that are women, which is great, love you, that hyper-focus on the man, but like think about how this is also reflected in other areas of your life. Eventually, proving and trying and giving and doing so much stuff, it doesn't work. And so you say you're done. And this is why many women suddenly stop asking for help, stop trusting people, and stop expressing their needs. You become quieter, detached, exhausted. And from the outside, people will think, wow, you're so independent. Wow, you're so independent. But the truth is often you've just given up on being supported. I gave up on trying to be supported by other people. 100%. I just gave up. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, my quality of life is nil. It was affecting my health. Like, my immune system was just wrecked. Constantly getting sick. People shouldn't get sick every second week. I was getting sick every second week. I had so many physical health symptoms. I am referring to one particular scenario right now, but even back then, another scenario, like, it was leading to insomnia, right? Which was also a huge, like, the side effects, like, it just, like, you just can't anymore, right? I want to talk about the nervous system side. When someone with anxious attachment repeatedly experiences unmet needs, their nervous system cycles between two states. One, hyperactivation, which is anxiety. Hypersensitive. Yes, people might have told you, oh, you're so hypersensitive, you're so sensitive, you're too much, you're too fragile. That's hyperactivation. So, and it usually comes alongside anxiety. So you try harder, overworking, overthinking, and then eventually hypoactivation, which is shut down. So the anxiety is like when you're on and the light bulb is on and the switch is on, and then hypoactivation is the shutdown when you turn the light switch off. Emotional shutdown, burnout, withdrawal. And then you might think, oh, now I'm swinging more avoidant because I'm emotionally shut down. No. You're just burnt out. You don't just go from anxious, extremely anxiously attached to full avoidant. It doesn't just, okay? I used to think that, oh, I'm like anxious and avoidant. Like, what's going on? No. Emotional shutdown, hypoactivation, and this is an anxious attachment scenario, all right? Now, this is why many anxiously attached women feel like they go from, I'll do everything myself, to, I don't have the energy to care anymore. Like, I don't have the energy to care about this person anymore, to care about this thing anymore. Like, I am so done with everything that's just dragging me down. Your nervous system isn't failing you, it's protecting you from the repeated disappointment, though. Your nervous system isn't failing you, it's protecting you from repeated disappointment. Now, the secure attachment shift. Let's talk about shifting this, changing this, because it sucks, doesn't it? Healing. That's what we're talking about now, healing. If you listen to any part, it's this. But I always like to create some awareness to begin with. So anyway, moving towards secure attachment doesn't mean becoming someone who never needs help. It means becoming someone who feels safe asking for help. Secure attachment and securely attached people believe three things. One, that their needs matter. My needs matter. Your needs matter. Two, safe people will show up. Safe people will show up for me. Safe people will show up for you. Three, if someone can't meet my needs, it doesn't mean I'm unworthy. If someone can't meet your needs, it doesn't mean that you're not worthy. The belief system changes everything, which is why, side note, I have 30 days of healing your anxious attachment, which actually changes your belief system. Linked in my bio, all of the logic, the podcast you're listening to right now, the episode, my voice, it's logic. You want to change it? You need to actively do something. Take action. Show your body. Change your belief system. You don't just do it by telling yourself, oh, I'm worthy, or say people will show up for me, or my needs matter. Great, hearing it. It's not going to change anything unless you change it. So click the link in the description for my 30 days of healing your anxious attachment. Anyway, moving on. The belief system does change everything, because instead of asking for help from a place of fear, you start asking for help from a place of self-respect. The practical shift towards secure attachment. Now, one of the practical things you can do and most powerful things you can do is purchasing my 30 days of healing your anxious attachment. Like, I don't mean this in like a pushy manner. I mean it in a, I want you to heal and I want to help you because it helped me that much. Number one, practice low stakes asking. Like, ask for something small. Ask a friend to help you move something. Ask a coworker for assistance with something. Ask, I'm trying to think of something I asked for that was really like low stake recently. What did I ask? I've had a mind blank. Promise you I asked. I asked someone, what's your opinion on this particular gym? Because I genuinely wanted to know, and you can't do a free trial. I'm sorry, I don't actually know what it's like. Well, I also asked someone to change the oil in my car because I don't know how to do that. I don't want to know how to do that, to be honest. All right, so you're teaching your nervous system support is allowed. Number two, notice the overfunctioning, the awareness. So when you feel yourself doing everything for everyone else, mums, any of you mums out there? I want you to pause and ask yourself, am I helping or am I trying to earn love? The awareness is very powerful. Plus women who are listening to this, receiving energy, feminine energy. You learn to be in that, oh my gosh, you will just get help without even asking it. But that's not what today's video is about. 3, let people show up for you. Securely attached people, secure attachment is built through corrective experiences. So let safe people support you. Even if it feels uncomfortable at first, let it happen. And redefine strength. So strength is not doing everything alone. That is your definition, was your definition. We're going to change that definition today. True strength is being able to receive support. That is true strength. You think you're all buff and tough with your armor on. No. That's self-sabotage armor. Doesn't suit you, doesn't look sexy anyway. Ew. Also, protective armor is what men are meant to wear, by the way. It was the men who went to war. True strength is being able to receive support. Get rid of the protective armor and put on some feminine looking dress with flowers on it. I'm kidding. That's not going to put you in your feminine energy or receiving mode. Learn to be able to receive support even when it's uncomfortable, especially from secure people. Don't try and get support from a avoidant, that's for sure. All right, so if you've been the woman who holds everything together for everyone else, who rarely asks for help, who's quietly burning out behind the scenes, there is nothing wrong with you. But you are self-sabotaging your healing journey towards becoming secure, and you can't operate like that for the rest of your life. If you do, your quality of life is extremely low, and you deserve to live a life full of quality because you were gifted and blessed to be born and be on this planet. Your nervous system simply learned survival strategies that once kept you safe, okay? So makes sense. But healing means learning something new. It means learning that you don't have to earn support. You don't have to overwork for love, and you don't have to carry everything alone. Fuck that. If you're the type A personality child as well, who was like the therapist for your parents, or like carried all of the emotional labor for your parents, or felt responsible for the regulation of their nervous system, even at the detriment and sacrifice to the regulation of your own nervous system, you need to drop me a follow on my podcast and on my TikTok. Anyway, secure attachment is not about becoming perfect. Perfectionism doesn't exist. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. It's about allowing yourself to be supported. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know if you struggle to ask for help, or if you just tend to handle everything on your own anyway. And if you're on the journey from anxious attachment to secure attachment, you're definitely in the right place. I'll see you in the next episode. Ending note, if you do want to inquire about one-on-one mentorship, which is where we don't just talk, it's not just talk therapy, it's actually showing your body that you're safe and teaching your body to become secure. There is a link in my description to apply for that. Many different ways to work with me. But that's it for today's episode. It was so great to have you here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.